Hello everyone and welcome to the 7th round of the 1994 Formula 1 World Championship. Round 7 does take us to the Canadian Grand Prix here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. 15 races have been held here, the last winner of which was Michael Schumacher, who took his second Grand Prix victory of Formula 1 here at this track. But the main question here today is, can anyone stop Senna's absolutely dominant run of form, which hasn't seen him off the podium at all in 1994? There's only one way to find out. Before we jump into that, let's take a look at the news roundup, with the big news being that the Grand Prix Drivers Association, short for the GPDA, is set to reform after 12 years of inactivity. Senna has been drafted in to act as the chairman of the group, with Gerhard Berger and Christian Fittipaldi, with the latter representing the junior drivers, also joining as representatives. The GPDA's aim is to make Grand Prix racing safer as the years go on and hopefully not have a fatality in the sport. In other news, we've had 2 driver swaps take place over the course of Monaco. David Brabham steps in with more cash than Roland Ratzenberger, which means David Brabham now drives at Simtek alongside Jos Verstappen. And after Philippe Alliot's retirement from Formula 1, Lewis drafted the reserve driver of Frank Lagorce into the seat. Hopefully the young Frenchman will get on well in the world of Formula 1. And in the last piece of news, which might not be big news, but is huge news for the backpackers, Pacific have finished a Grand Prix, and at Monaco no less. David Coulthard actually managed to finish the race. Both Pacifics of Coulthard and De Veren actually managed to qualify for that race, but De Veren had an engine failure and so couldn't complete the race. But now we move on to the upgrades, and Jordan have brought a big batch of upgrades. Major front wing drag upgrades and major rear wing lift upgrades. This could possibly shoot them right up into the midfield. Benetton have also brought a minor front wing lift upgrade, which would hopefully see them have more downforce in slow speed turns. And that's all the news, upgrades and stuff are now announced. Let's get on to track and take a hot lap around the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. A lap around this track doesn't take too much time, but is a hot blast to get around through. As we now approach the start finish line, you'll have to quickly turn your car right to aim for the entry of turn 1. Keep it as right as you can, then essentially a 90-degree corner into the island hairpin of turn 2. Make sure to keep on the inside, and then once you hit roughly about the exit point, start drifting right to exit turn 3 in a correct manner, and then you actually approach the turn 3 and quickly followed by turn 4. These corners don't really have many corner names, so they're all kind of bland. See, that's turn 5. There's a fast sweeping right hand that leads you directly out of sector 1 and into sector 2, which quickly presents you with turn 6 a left hand and then turn 7 a right hand, which opens up right on exit. So you get on power earlier than you may think. There's a long stretch from here to turn 8, but when you do brake right at that McDonald's bridge and then make sure to run over the curves, I don't really do that here, but exiting turn 9, get on the power as much as you can. Again, use the exit curves as much as you can. Now you approach turn 10, Le Ping. You don't know how to pronounce French, so you can have to excuse me for that, but I just call it the hairpin. Right, there you go. Make sure you stay left to left on it so you can use turn 11 as the straight enough point, and then from here, this is where it gets real technical, not that really technical, for fearless. Turn 12, there's Casino turn 13, and we're out of turn 14 in a flash. That board will test will say, why is it called Casino? Into the final chicane of turn 15 and 16, don't lock your brakes up, get on the power as soon as you can, use all that green AstroTurf, not really AstroTurf, but use that all the way to help propel your car up across the line, and that's a lap of Montreal. I managed to do it in a minute 23.4. Let's check out how the other drivers fared out as we now approach the race weekend. Round 7 is about to get underway. Let's take a look at the starting grid. Damon Hill qualifies on pole yet again in his Williams. Michael Schumacher, making good work with the newly upgraded Benetton, lines up alongside him in P2. Ricardo Patrese, Damon Hill's teammate, lines up nearly 5 tenths behind him in B3, with Senna running out P4, not being able to get his car any higher up on the grids. Martin Brundle can only manage P5 in his upgraded Benetton, but that does get him ahead of 6th place to Johnny Herbert. Both Ferraris lock out roll 4, with Berger gaining the edge over the Lacey this time, and then again, both Ligiers lock out roll 5, and is getting the edge over his more experienced teammate Comas by about 2nd and 4 tenths. Heinz Harald Frentzen rebounds from Monaco to line up in 11th place, and right behind him is Pedro Lamy, who I think out-qualifying Mika Hakkinen for the first time all season. Carl Wendling lines up third, and this newly upgraded Jordan, and right behind him is Aguri Suzuki. Roberto Romero can only manage 15th place, and our hugely impressive Frank Lagorce on his first qualifying session manages 16th place, ahead of Rubens Barrichello in the Jordan, and Mika Hakkinen in the Lotus. Gianni Morbidelli, meanwhile, stole some normality to the order, lying up 19th place, and Thierry Boutsen in the Peugeot, who lines up 20th. Christian Fittipaldi could only manage 21st place in his footwork, only managing to beat out Eric Bernard, Christophe Rochu in the Larousse in 23rd place. Luca Badoer could only manage 24th in his Minardi, and he was a back-the-row lockout for both Tyrrells, Ukyo Kariyama getting the edge over Mark Blundell. Unfortunately, no Pacifics will be making it onto the grid this time around, and neither will the Simtech Fords of Verstappen, David Brabham, and both Pacifics are driven by Coulthard and Javon still. 69 nice laps await us here at the Canadian Grand Prix here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. The rest are beginning to rise as we wait to get this Grand Prix underway. It's a good start from Damon Hill and Michael Schumacher. No overtakes seem to be being made into turn 1 as far as I can see. A couple of cars going too wide in the background, but the top 4 roughly as you were at the front. Senna tried to look for the inside of Ricardo Treaty but couldn't make it stick. Here's Johnny Herbert now, looking to the inside of Martin Brundle. He's not going to be able to make the move stick, and so he will remain in 6th place for the time being. But out of the front still, Damon Hill has managed to have a good enough start to keep the lead here at the 1994 Canadian Grand Prix. Will we see any action here in the background? Let's take a look here as we go on wild free cam mode, as I like to call it. No, there's going to be no other moves really happening. So cut to sector 3 now, looking to Ayrton Senna now. He's going to now try and make a move here on Riccardo Patrese up the inside of the hairpin. Is he going to make it stick? Yes, he will. Riccardo Patrese is now being dispatched by Ayrton Senna, and he's now up to 3rd place. And meanwhile, Gerhard Berger seems to be under pressure here by John and Lacey. Both Ferraris are looking fiercely battly as always. Here's Gianni Morbidelli now. He's going to have an unfortunate retirement of a brake failure before he even manages to complete the first lap, and it's therefore our first retirement of the race, and leaves only Luca Badoer, who started the race in 24th place, the last Minardi car running. Frank of course hasn't had a good start, meanwhile he's dropped all the way back down to 18th place. He's had a good qualifying though for the first time out, especially since he's been roughly around about mid-pack in Formula 3000. He actually got a win, I think, in his last race. And he might actually look for a move here up the inside, I believe that's Aguri Suzuki for P17. He's going to try and go out the hairpin just like Senna did on lap 1. He's going to make the move stick, and Frank Lagor's now already back up to P17. We'll see if that position improves any further as this race continues on. But there's a huge gaggle of cars right behind them, all being spearheaded by, I think that's Thierry Boutsen, looking to the inside of Christian Fittipaldi. A little bit of contact made. Boutsen's going to come off roughly off the same place as he actually started this kerfuffle in, remains in 21st place for now. But now one of the Tyrrells is looking to move on a Minardi, who decides to turn the fence into attack by trying to attack the Thierry Boutsen, but can't make the move stick. And now Luca Badoer's already made his way up into 22nd place. 3 laps into this race already, and already both Saubers managed to find each other on track, so they might be on a entirely different strategy to one another, but that won't matter anymore, as that's Heinz-Harald Frentzen pulling over in his Sauber Ilma, and after such a good qualifying session, Heinz-Harald Frentzen could only manage 3 laps before Sauber has bit the bullet. Meanwhile, lap 5, and there's a 5-way scrap for just P1 there. Those 4 cars that you're going to see out here, they're all within 1 second of each other as they crossed the start-finish line last time out. This battle will be very interesting to keep an eye on, and I have no idea who will come out the winner of all of this. Speaking of which, lap 7 now, we're on board with Michael Schumacher, looking to put pressure on Damon Hill after a brilliant chicane fast flick thingy. He looks to the inside now of the final chicane. Is he going to be able to make the move stick? I don't think he'll be able to. He'll slightly on 2 wheels there. Senna wants to try and make a move, but he can't make a draft in there. He's now going to have to turn attack into defense now, as now both first and second are defending from each other, and third and fourth are also attacking each other as well. So it's 2 battles going on in the top 4 within a second of each other. Michael Schumacher will take the lead as he managed to hold off Damon Hill and get the place from there. But what about the battle for 3rd place? Looking out the rear of Damon Hill, Riccardo Patrese is fighting with everything that he's got, but Senna's fighting back even harder, and I think Senna might, there's a little bit of contact there. Senna might still be able to get the move done here. Rounding the first end of the first sector, Ayrton Senna finally emerges in 3rd place after a really hard-fought battle between himself and Patrese. 5 laps later, he's already caught up to the end of Damon Hill as well, so Ayrton Senna is pushing for what it's worth. A little bit of contact there on the inside of turn 1. He's going to still try and run the outside, but that leaves the door open for more contact, and Riccardo Patrese now finds his way on the inside, but can't get a move done. So the order stays as the same as they are for now, but that was really intense driving there from Ayrton Senna, who thinks the hairpin's going to be his stopping ground yet again. He goes up the inside of Damon Hill there, and he will reclaim 2nd place from him there. But Ayrton Senna is currently on track to have 7 podiums in a row, starting from the start of 94 all the way up to this race. Meanwhile, what also happened on lap 12 is Carl Wendlinger was trying to defend from one of the Lotus there, I think that's off Mika Hakkinen, but he has a brake failure of some sort, but does well enough to flick it to the left and just graze the tyre barrier there, and he'll be alright from that accident, thankfully. Lap 14, and already we had a cluster of cars who are lapped out, who are already being headed by Frank the Gorse. Michael Schumacher's been caught up on all this, but he's going to try and make the best of move out of this as he can. Meanwhile, that enables the top 2 and 3 drivers of Senna and Hill to also catch up to them. But Senna's being blocked off and picked off by one of the tail drivers. David Hill's going to take that tail driver of Mark Blundell, I believe that is, very much, as he now makes his way up to second place. But Senna now turns to defense, and he has Riccardo Patrese all over the rear of him, but he also gets picked up by the same tail as well. So, Damon Hill up to second place, Senna holds on to third just about from attacking Riccardo Patrese. And we skip ahead a couple of seconds now, with Adam Brundle now all over the rear end of Riccardo Patrese. He's going to try and take advantage of all this. Will he be able to? He's standing at the edge just ahead and does indeed take advantage. Adam Brundle now up into 4th place. And you thought the action was over on lap 15, you are sorely mistaken. Damon Hill has now caught up to another group of backmarkers. He has to compensate here, and here comes Ayrton Senna. Managed to have a brilliant run through there. He's going to try and send it up the inside. Notice the first work of Christian Fittipaldi a little bit. They're now trying to fight with the backmarkers. They're now unable to do so because they're now blocking both of their paths. So it's a drag race between the backmarkers to see who can get ahead of them first. I don't think it's even settled there, so we're going to have to go into the first few sectors here. The first 2 turns rather, to see who's going to be able to get this battle ahead. And it's going to be Ayrton Senna using Eric Bernard, that is, as a pick to go back into second place. The backmarkers are really wreaking havoc upon the field here, and the frontrunners are doing the absolute best that they can do to ensure that they're not held up too much by the backmarkers here today. Lap 17 now, let's take a look at the race classification orders. Only 3 people have retired so far, most of whom you've seen. Schumacher still leads, but I have a Senna, Hill, Blundell, Patrese and Herbert, and those are your current point scorers as things stands right now. Hakkinen is called all the way back up to 11th in front of his teammate after starting like 17th. That's a pretty good resurgence from him. Frank Legor's holding on to P17 as it stands right now, and running I think Morbidelli and someone else is out of the race. We'll see here. Frentzen. So you did all see all 3 of those retirements so far. Lap 20 now, and we're having a scheduled pit stop here from Ayrton Senna, who can't get into the pits immediately fast because he's got the backmarker of Aguri Suzuki in his way. Now, it might not look like he's lost a lot of time on pit entry, but as we'll soon find out when the other people have come to hit, that'll cost him a whole load of time, as he now re-enjoys onto the track now, as he is 8th place as it stands right now. So he's got a lot of ground to make up, and a lot of backmarkers to go through yet again, but thankfully he didn't come out on that train behind. Anyways, here's how you actually take pit road entry when the coast is clear, as courtesy shown by Michael Schumacher here. He also has his pit stop, but that now gives the lead back to Damon Hill, who I believe now leads this Grand Prix for the first time since around about lap 7 or so. And he's actually struggling to get past backmarker Aguri Suzuki there in the footwork, so... By the way, here comes Michael Schumacher now exiting the pit lane in 5th place. He's a fair bit ahead of Ayrton Senna, so there could be a strategy offset between the 2 drivers, so we'll have to wait and see as to how that battle develops out. Speaking of battles, there's a battle between 2nd to 4th place. You can see them all there. They're all within 1.3 seconds of each other that lap, so that was a pretty huge gap. As that's a Williams slowing. That's Damon Hill again with another engine or gearbox failure this time. The Williams team just can't catch a break. Ever since Imola, they've just kept having reliability problems, and they can't figure out what it is. As Johnny Herbert now struggles to get past this ill-stricken Damon Hill, who will be retiring at the end of this lap. And Brundle, meanwhile, I think it's gone up to 2nd place now, so that's huge for him. And Riccardo Patrese now is going into the pits on lap 26 now as well. So Madden Brundle now, all of a sudden, takes the lead of the Montreal Canadian Grand Prix, whatever you want to call it. I keep getting Canadian Montreal mixed up, but Madden Brundle now leads, so we'll have to see where Riccardo Patrese now exits pit road. 7th place, so he might be ahead or behind Senna, I'm not too sure. Very next lap, Madden Brundle is scheduled to come into the pit lane, and you can see how much he attacks. He actually runs over one of the bollards there. But that now gives the lead over to McLaren's 2nd driver of Johnny Herbert, so that could be a pretty interesting strategy that he might be on. He could be on a 1 or 2 stop. Madden Brundle exits the pit lane well ahead of Riccardo Patrese, He now assumes 5th place, so there could be a strategy differentiation. Maybe Patrice is going for a one-stop, as that's a Ligier smoking. That's the Ligier of Olivier Panis, and I think out of turn 1, yep, the engine has let go, so he pulls over on the exit of turn 2, and Olivier Panis is going to retire from an engine failure, and it seems like engine failures are striking back in full force today. Lap 30 now. Johnny Herbert is now scheduled to pit in, and this should hopefully end for the first pit window for the roughly about 2 stoppers. There might be a few one-stop stragglers left around, but that now gives Madame Bundle the net race lead, with Riccardo Patrese third behind the McLaren of Ayrton Senna. Pedro Lami's been having a really quiet race so far, but that all changes now. Brake failure into the hairpin. He can't get it slowed down, and that's him out of the Grand Prix. Pedro Lamy has lost a wheel, a front wing, and most importantly, his brakes. Lap 33 now. Ayrton Senna all over the back of, I believe this is Martin Brundle. He's going to now send it up the inside, and he's going to once again get the move done, and now elevates him up into first place. So Ayrton Senna, as I proved earlier, is right on a charge, and he's trying to pull away to claim what would be his 4th win of the season. But there's trouble on pit entry again. He still can't take it fully flat, and this will probably be his only scheduled pit stop for after remaining in the race. So Madden will take the lead, and he might be able to rejoin ahead of Ayrton Senna by a huge margin. For there's a little bit of a lull in the gap. Let's take a look at the race classifications while no one's pitting. Madden Bundle holds the lead now from Riccardo Patrese. Johnny Herbert third on track for 4th on the race, on the actual race itself. John O'Lacey is 7th, and Rubens Barrichello is actually having a brilliant race, as too is Frank Lagorce, who surprisingly isn't last and is spinning out his teammate in Christophe Bouchou. Only 14 drivers left. We've lost a lot of them around the lap 30 areas, so the attrition rate is really ramping up. It's turning out to be a little bit like Monaco in a way, as Brandon Butler comes around turn 2. That's a McLaren stop on the exit of the final chicane. I don't know who it is. It's Johnny Herbert. It's not quite Ayrton Senna, and that's not what the Williams would have hoped for, but it's a McLaren out the race nonetheless. What happened? His rear right suspension collapsed on him, so that's him out of the race then. Johnny Herbert now out on lap 36. Lap 38 now, and Michael Schumacher is going to try and event from Gerhard Berger behind him, but not if Ayrton Senna has anything to say about it. Both pushed the Ferrari out of the way, and now he's side by side with the German. I think he might be able to make this mistake before he even gets to the next corner, and indeed he does. Ayrton Senna now has jumped Michael Schumacher and has now gone all the way up to 3rd place. Will Michael Schumacher now to defend from Gerhard Berger into the final chicane? Not quite. Schumacher will just about hang on to 4th place as it stands right now, but he's going to have to put on a charge to catch back up to Ayrton Senna. Lap 39 now, let's take a time stop between Madden Bull and Riccardo Patrese, who's just coming through right about now. Turns out the gap between that was about 6.2 seconds, a lot of ground for Riccardo Patrese to make up if he wants to win this race. Lap 44 now, and Madden Buttle has decided to pull into the pit lane to serve his 2nd pit stop of the race. So this will hand the lead to the now confirmed one-stopping Riccardo Patrese. So if he can hold on to this will be a very final win for him in the title fight. Never mind, he's just pitted now for the first time. I didn't even realise he didn't pit yet, but he's now pitted, and he comes out still in the lead. So Riccardo Patrese firmly now in control of the Canadian Grand Prix. Now, you could be forgiven for mistaking that this being a battle for P6 between John O'Lacey and Rubens Barrichello, but the truth is Rubens Barrichello is a lap down on John O'Lacey, so he needs someone to try in the top 6 for him to be able to get a point position today. But he's going to try his hardest, and that's Riccardo Patrese from the lead out of the race. Another Williams double DNF. What on earth happened? Brake failure, and again, just like Carl Wendlinger, he was smart to move so he managed to scrabble up a lot of speed before he collided with the wall. That could have been immensely worse. We're on to lap 58 now, where Martin Brundle still holds on to the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix. He could be on for his first ever win if you take a look at the race rundown as it stands right now. Schumacher's holding on to 2nd place by the skin of his teeth over Ayrton Senna. Only 12 people remain, so Riccardo Patrese accident on just a couple hours ago make that 11 now as John O'Lacey slides out of the Grand Prix, and we're now down to 11 runners now, and that now promotes Rubens Barrichello not only up to 5th, but now possibly up into 4th place. So this could be a really great result for the Jordan team today. And just a lap later, on lap 59, Ayrton Senna is breathing all down Michael Schumacher's neck. He's going to set him up for the inside like he always does, and everyone else into the hairpin, and he's going to dismantle the Benetton 1-2. Ayrton Senna now into 2nd place, and now all he has to do now is to chase down Martin Brundle to get his 4th win of the 1994 season. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Rubens Barrichello, who's just been having just a great, calm and quiet race, is having an engine failure, which means he's gonna pull over onto the side of the road to relinquish what would have been a most certain points-paying position. That's such a shame for the Brazilian driver. From sadness in one camp to joy in the other, Martin Brundle would have not expected this win after starting 5th place behind a 2nd place teammate of Michael Schumacher, but against all the odds, he's going to win the 1st race for Benetton in 1994, and before Schumacher can even say so, Martin Brundle then comes across the line to win the 1994 Canadian Grand Prix. So it's Martin Brundle then taking a win by only 3.5 seconds over Ayrton Senna, the fastest man on track. A couple more maps and Senna probably would have had him. Michael Schumacher makes it a double Benetton podium with Berger. Suzuki probably getting his 1st point of the season, as well as Luca Badoa. A brilliant result, having his down to 24th, and considering the fact that he's in the minority. Only 10 people actually managed to finish the race. Ignore the fact that Martin Brundle has had an engine failure. He did not. The people who did, though, are all below the non-classified finishers, which only, again, it's a shock only 10 people managed to finish this race. It's really been a race of attrition this entire season. I think the only race where we had more than 50 finishers might have been either Brazil or the Pacific Grand Prix. I'm not entirely sure. But either way, let's take a look at the Drivers' Championship, in which case Senna now has double the amount of points that Damon Hill has, as well as Riccardo Patrese. They're still on 26 points, and there's also any time of changing anytime soon. Michael Schumacher, though, has been overtaken by Martin Brundle after his fantastic win here today. Luca Badoa has a point to his name, as well as Aguri Suzuki having 2. Those are the 2 new point scorers on the driver's standings. Now, I want you to have a guess as to who's leading the Constructors' Championship. If it's anything other than McLaren, you're wrong, as they now have a 19-point lead over Williams in 2nd place. Benetton still remaining in 3rd, but coming a lot closer now, or pull away further than 4th place. Ferrari now retake 4th place after their points positions, only 1 point ahead of Ligier though, so they're still a threat. That'll be all for today's episode here at the Canadian Grand Prix. Next time out we'll be in Magny-Cours, France for the French Grand Prix. So until then, I've been Kyokiri, and until next time, take it easy.